Yeah, it is. From Beyond is Jeff Coombs is in that one, is he not?
Well, Jeff Coombs is in everything that has
He's
ever been produced
yes,
about Lovecraft,
yes,
but
yes.
so it
Every
doesn't really narrow it down.
animated, so great.
Nonetheless, I've just started watching it, so
Have
I have
you
seen it, and I did quite enjoy it.
have you
Um,
seen The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox?
of course, I have.
I'm just wondering because
Yeah.
Jeff Coombs is in that, and after knowing Coombs is super, we're on
Hi,
the air now.
everyone.
good.
I just, I do this because I'm interested to see how long it takes you all to notice, and it's always
mean,
funny to me.
There's a day where we're just going to chat for hours, and we're never going to realize it. It'll be
It's
like
true.
a lower
I was
decks
about to say
episode.
we can have a 2-hour Lovecraft podcast sort of thing if you want.
I mean,
in costume.
I'm here and I'm ready.
It's
I-
Starfleet officers discussing the seminal works of H.P. Lovecraft. I'd watch that show.
As
I'd
we're
watch it.
covered during the expeditions of 2145.
Here we go again.
Anyways, hello everyone. Welcome. This is session 3 of season 3 of Star Trek Kongo. I'm your game master ELH, and joining me are some lovely, lovely individuals. I think we're just going to go ahead and have the introductions because I don't have announcements this week. So, Lovecraft, what you got?
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I play Commander. Wow, it's been a while since I've been a commander. Captain Lee Tobin, who is on his second command. He is Bajoran, and he is fairly dedicated to the prophets.
Not
In an
intensely
intensely religious
He's-
fashion.
Oh,
let's
thank
say.
God. I don't think they could have played without that.
Stability has been
So-
returned to our universe.
That has to be said. But hey, guys, I'm Aaron. I am Commander Datig, the Exxon science officer and occasional, I guess, secondary doctor of Congo. Not really though. I only did it once, so really that's not accurate. Science officer / XO. Also Draxus on Motley Heights on Monday, so check us out there too. Real happy to play. Real excited for this one.
And I'm Watney, and I play Dr. Alel, the Chief Medical Officer of the Congo, and she is Denobulan. That's about it.
And I'm Dag. I play Congo's resident ex-Borg augment security officer. And the bingo card is, if you want to talk about it, hit me up at Trek Nexus.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
They're good luck charms.
I mean, apparently. But yeah, looks like we're starting off today's session with momentum for you guys, which you already have, and then I'll introduce a complication when it's warranted. So don't worry, chat. I did see your complication that you gave me. It's just going to be a bit before there's actually things for me to spend complications on. Anyways, I believe a certain security officer has the opening log today. So Dag, if you want to take that away.
Just checking to make sure I'm not on mute.
You are not on mute.
But
Right
it's
now,
tradition.
anyway. We'll get there eventually. Complication, you're on mute. Chief Tactical Officer's Log, Stardate 95113 Mark II. The maiden voyage of Kongo A has ended with the successful rescue and return of USS Comfort to Deep Space October. Its crew is recovering from the Antilles fever unleashed after an ion storm took out their power. In thanks for their combined efforts and lightning speed in treating said fever, Commander Dodig and Dr. Alel have been awarded the Legion of Honor by Fleet Admiral Ignitrix. More than that, they're also co-authoring a paper on the catalyzed aerosolization of a feline retroviral agent that's sure to rewrite the books on the subject. All thanks to the ship's new mascot, Spot. Maybe after that, Alel and I can optimize the uplink we've been testing between my cortical node and her recent ocular data net. In other news, Starfleet must think we're some kind of lucky star. Without so much as the proverbial pit stop, Kongo is back out in open space. A duck-blind mission on Tomia 3 is due for a check-in report after 2 years of observation. The local population is pre-warp, industrialized, and the data we're collecting will add to a greater understanding of the socio-political challenges that progress or hinder technological innovation, as well as some scientific applications that younger civilizations make with those resources. I'm really just interested in what weapons their nation states are pointing at each other to keep the peace. As such, I have compiled a preliminary brief for Captain Lee and log.
You may have 1 momentum for that opening log. So, we're going to start today's session in Kongo's sick bay, where we find Dr. Alel, Commander Datig, and Spot basically in the throes of writing their paper and collaborating together. So I believe you all have the scene already, so I'm just going to sit back and watch until you need me.
So I believe Alel is just probably looking pretty weary at this point. Oh, come here, Spot. You're so cute.
No, you need to focus. I've told you we need a name, a good name for it, and I think I have it. Okay, what do you think about this? Pet Knox 5.
What do you think about it, Spot?
Or Felicillin?
Felix for short?
Uh,
I was also thinking maybe Beverly.
oh, do you mean for Spot? Isn't the cat's name Spot?
The cat's name was Spot because I thought all Earth felines were. That's what the name was. They were all called Spot.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's something that somebody could think at some point somewhere. But typically, the name Spot has been reserved for canines.
Did Commander Data of the USS Enterprise, didn't he have a cat named Spot?
Right, but apart from being a very proficient and brilliant scientist, practical miracle worker, and anything he chose to apply himself to, he was always, well, from my reading anyway, completely infantile.
Commander Data.
Yes.
It's quite rude, Datig. He was on a journey of self-discovery like we all are.
Of course. Far be it from me to criticize a pillar of the Starfleet scientific community, even in the decades after his untimely death.
Speaking of pillars of the scientific community, I meant to tell you I specifically liked your unorthodox combination of using a deuteronal scanner to destabilize the tsRNA prions in order to incorporate those heavy metal alkaloids.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a shame that those scanners are so arcane. Did your time outside Starfleet Medical Academy teach you to use those forcible methods to attain such outcomes?
It's basically the medical equivalent of percussive maintenance. And I mean, on the frontier, we didn't always have these fancy doodads and gizmos and whatsits with the spinning lights that make strobing noises so that you seem more important because you're holding it and it's going. It all just comes down to medicine. Medicine isn't something that's in a lab or even in a sick bay. Medicine is something that you feel inside. It's up here and in here.
You are in a sick bay right now. Didn't you spend a bulk of your time in sick bay?
Well, that's only because I was in Starfleet.
You know, the little sounds, the and the spinning lights, those are all meaningful percussive and visual indicators of data collection. And I'll have you know that the newer scanners, which you could have used during that crisis, would have collected very valuable information like humidity and air pressure and the temperature around you, environmental factors, so we might be able to replicate the conditions in the future.
I mean, we have all the data that we need on it. We know it works. That's the important thing. We know how it works, we know why it works, and we know that it does work.
But we had tools that would have worked better, is all I'm saying. I miss that sort of data when I'm writing these papers. It seems more more quantitative rather than qualitative.
Hmm. But you see, medicine, being a physician, is as much style as it is substance. All right, so I'll just think about it like this, and he'll just start like petting Spot as the cat like comes over and just doesn't stop talking. Think about it like this. All right. Yes, I could have used all those new tools that would have been very nice, very clean, very crisp, but it leaves out to borrow a very xenocentric view, it leaves out the human equation, as they say on Earth. And by deliberately eschewing that, I reaffirm my own belief in my ability as a physician. And also, to borrow a saying from a very famous first officer of a Federation flagship, flair is the difference between artistry and mere competence.
Right. Okay, I'll just note down flair as a potential variable in this life-saving formula, and we'll see if the Daystem Institute accepts it.
I mean, this is why I normally don't co-author papers with people.
Alel looks at the nearest ensign.
You've got Nurse Delkov doing routine maintenance on all your supplies in sickbay just right outside your office right now.
Ensign. Ensign.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am?
What do you make of this?
Make of what, sir?
Would you consider arcane methods of data collection a viable research method?
Well,
or would you rather have every piece of information you could have in order to make the best possible decision?
Well, logic would dictate that both avenues have their merits. Though if you are asking my personal opinion, I would say that I prefer the former.
Oh, well, what a surprise! The Vulcan prefers more quantitative research with more numbers and more. The important thing is that you save lives. That's the only thing that matters, nurse. I will remember that the next time I'm doing the duty roster. I hope that you've brushed up on your engineering because you're going to be in some plasma conduits very soon.
Sir, with all due respect, you don't handle my schedule. She does.
What was her name, GM, again?
Delkov is the name of your nurse.
Delkov. I'll make sure to pen this as authored by Alel Elkav and Datig et al. And Spot. And Rough and Tumble something or other.
Alright, so instead of flair, maybe you can use panache.
Panache?
You know, panache, daring do, spirit of discovery, adventurousness.
Are you saying I'm not adventurous, Doctor?
I wasn't referring to you specifically.
Do you want to know how I got this scar?
I've read the reports, I'm quite familiar.
Not my proudest moment. Anyway, nurse, thank you for your time.
Also,
of course, Doctor.
Did you know, Dr. Alel, that you didn't need to use such archaic methods as allowing scar tissue to form, that with a simple dermal regenerator with spinning lights that goes you could completely remove and efface any evidence that injury was ever there?
Says the Tellarite with a prosthetic metal leg sitting in front of me. Well, we have very good biosynthetic.
Stop making this about me.
I'm simply pointing out the hypocrisy, my dear friend.
I mean, did we not both take a Hippocratic oath? Oh, Hippocratic, not hypocritical.
This
And
paper, they're gonna wonder what's going on when we submit this paper. I'll tell you that.
oh, I mean, well, I can just save you some trouble. Computer, delete the last 45
Computer,
seconds.
relay that order.
Eater chirps.
You're very fast on the draw, Doctor.
Well, it
I
is
commend
my
you.
sick bay.
I suppose it is, and at this his comm badge chirps. And I may need to let you get back to it. He taps his comm badge. Datig here.
Commander, this is Captain Lee. Is everything all right?
Yes, Captain, perfectly. Why?
You were scheduled to meet me and Commander Tibna for lunch roughly 5 minutes ago.
Ah, yes, of course. Just got caught up with vigorous academic debate over our upcoming paper with Dr. Allel. I'll be there directly, sir.
I wouldn't wish to disturb you if you're actually engaged in a meaningful dialogue with the good doctor.
Oh, no, sir. I think we're just about done here.
Dante, can you bring me back a vegetarian hotspot?
All right, but you only like half the sauce, right?
Yes. The
Okay.
white sauce specifically.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll bring that back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Right, on my way, Captain. And he'll get up and scratch Spot, and nod to Allel, glare at Delkov, and then leave the sick bay.
All right. We now go to the officers' mess of the Kongo, and since this is the first time here, I'll do a little bit of explanation. So, actually, in terms of lounges, this is a fairly spacious affair, especially for the size of the ship. The officers' lounge is almost oversized, all things considered. It's not quite in 10-4's style, like you would see on the Enterprise D, but there are some similarities. There's, of course, the actual bar behind which stands a Gorn woman that is tending bar. She's a civilian. If you want to know more about her, I can tell you. But your barkeep is just sort of minding her own business as various officers of all ranks and walks of life take in the lovely sight of warp travel outside, including the good captain and Commander Tibna. As Commander Datig, you come running in the door.
Oh, no, I don't run.
Okay. You saunter in the door.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very casual. And, Captain, Commander, I'm sorry I kept you waiting. What have I missed?
Very little. We've only just ordered our meals. I've also taken the liberty of preparing some moba fruit for you, leaving it unshod. I do realize that Tellarites tend to eat their fruit with rinds intact.
Well, of course, that's where the flavor is objectively in the rind. Have you ever eaten an orange just like a hand fruit with the peel on? It's marvelous.
I'm afraid that while we are well acclimatized to spicy foods, our digestive systems aren't quite up to the task. Bajorans, we tend to be a little bit of a softer people, I suppose, than yours, Commander.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, Captain. I mean, perhaps maybe of inferior constitution, but quite a strong people spiritually.
True, and that was refined during the occupation into a razor's edge. But fortunately, we are long past those days.
What's everybody eating?
And Lee would actually look to Tibna.
Tibna has a giant ice cream sundae. There is strawberry, there's vanilla, there's chocolate. She's just having a good time.
Okay, so it's just an order anything kind of a sit down meal, and he'll just sort of motion to the bartender and say, I'll take some braggot long, please.
Never heard of it before. What the hell is that?
Well, it's a lung from an
Well,
animal
yeah, I
called
got it. You said it was a log, but I've never had to replicate that before.
Okay. Do you have tibia's claw?
Still don't know what it is, honey.
Okay, fine. Gach?
I
got
do
no
have Ga.
guys.
Yeah, you want
All right.
you want it wiggling? You want it live?
I mean, if you have it, yes, of course.
All right, fresh Ga coming up. And the Gorn goes behind the bar, pulls out like a mini keg-sized cylinder, opens it, puts a plate down, and just reaches in with her claws, grabs a bunch of Ga, puts it on the plate, walks out from the bar, puts it in front of you, and goes, "There you go. There's your Ga."
Perfect. Can I also get some yamek sauce for this guy?
The hell kind of person do you think runs this bar? You don't put yamek sauce on fucking Ga.
Okay, well, that's highly inappropriate language for the officer's mess. And second, you don't get to tell me what I like to eat. So you go get the yamek sauce for me, or I get up and get it myself. Either way, I'm getting it.
I think.
And I'll take a vegetarian hasperat with half the normal white sauce, please.
That would make it so bland, though. Who would eat
It's-
only half the sauce?
Apparently someone with no taste. And the barkeep goes back to get your order. Tivna just kind of looks at the barkeep and goes, I like her. This is my first time. I like her.
Yes, it's very enjoyable.
You two have interesting tastes in barkeeps, I suppose, and interpersonal relations, but I respect your opinions.
Well,
Although,
wait a second, Captain. You were the one that signed off on her transfer here from Deep Space October from then Fenrir. I thought, wasn't she one of your old barkeeps on Fenrir? That was my understanding.
when I went into a bar, I tended not to emerge conscious of the affairs that had transpired when I was therein.
And right on cue, the bartender comes back and sets down Dotig's yamek sauce along with the Hesperat. And then for Lee, she sets down this almost comically oversized tankard of blood wine and says, "There you go, Captain. I remember how you like it."
It's more Klingon fire wine. The spice is more reminiscent.
Well, yeah,
of
you're still on
Bajoran,
duty, though. I can't give you the full stuff.
That's true. That is fair. Thank you. I appreciate the consideration for my duties.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, Ensign, what the hell do you think you're doing? No, don't you dare put that on that. Don't you dare. I'll come over there. And then the Gorn goes to harass an Ensign.
You know, Datig, I do have to agree with her sentiment, though. There seems to be something almost perverse about loading yamek sauce onto live gach. I mean, it's almost like a betrayal of the very spiritual nature that Klingons have with their food. They actually consume living beings. They incorporate their life force into themselves as part of almost a ritualistic tradition surrounding their meals. Isn't that almost desecrating an aspect of their culture?
Right, but I'm not Klingon.
Nonetheless, it's incumbent upon all of us to respect the cultural traditions of another people, in the same way that I would never think of, I don't know, running afoul of the scroll of eternal feasting from your own culture.
I mean, that would just mean that I would have to argue with you about it, which I enjoy.
All right, boys. I can see that you two want to go at it, but let's settle some debates here. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Captain, you seem a little bit stymied by that response.
I'm quite perturbed by the very suggestion, actually, Commander. But I don't hold your particular tastes against you.
All right, so we've determined at least one person at this table has taste. Though, again, I do sort of question the whole yamek sauce thing, but hey, you're neutral, so that's good. Next question, peanut butter on burgers.
Yes.
Captain, again, you look stymied by this.
It's merely that I've never heard of these kinds of combinations of foodstuffs, and interestingly enough, you appear to have a taste for Terran food. I'm really more of an aficionado of Klingon and Bajoran cuisine, so perhaps I shouldn't judge.
Hey, barkeep. Yeah, what is it, honey? Give me a quarter pounder with peanut butter slathered all over it. Ah, you want a rusty? Yeah, if that's what you're calling it. Yeah, it's something new I'm trying. Hold on. And after maybe about a minute, she comes back with literally a hamburger with peanut butter on the bun.
Is it culturally common for your people to eat dessert before a meal?
Everybody here's an officer. Captain, you know what species I am, so.
I wasn't going to pry into the matter. That's not really my business.
Well, since the two people who brought me onto this ship, besides the fleet admiral, are the only ones that know my true species. Oh, you're still here. Yeah, that's right, honey. I'm still here. I already know your secret. Don't worry. Great.
Well, if you can't trust a bartender, who can you
Well,
trust?
I mean, that's very true.
Anyways, go ahead, Captain. Try it. I assure you it's great.
And Lee will tentatively take out a knife and fork and try to very carefully and judiciously excise a small piece of the hamburger, spear it, and then raise it up tentatively towards his mouth.
All right, funny roll time, everybody. I need you to roll me a fitness and a con, difficulty of 0. This is where I'm going to spend the complication. The complication range is going to be 16 to 20 because apparently the knife you got is going to break in the process. Because that's what we do here is we have fun.
I feel like either my diplomacy or infectious diseases
Not going to help
info
you.
size should apply here, but it doesn't really matter because I have a con of 1.
Oh my
so.
god, you've rolled a 0.
Ouch.
All right, so it was a difficulty 0. You still succeed, but yeah, that knife breaks in the process. And in comical fashion, I'm going to let you decide whether or not you catch the burger or if the burger flies and hits somebody in the face.
Lee's reflexes are so terribly poor, he would scramble for it, but he would miss it completely.
Well, Datig, you were having ga. You're now having peanut butter burger.
Rest assured, Commander, that was entirely unintentional. I apologize, nonetheless.
Captain, I appreciate the gesture of you wanting to share your food with me. It speaks to the rapport that I feel like we've developed through our time together on this ship and the previous Kongo. However, in future, I would humbly request that you attempt at least to miss my uniform tunic with said food, as I now have to go and change.
Also, I will, of course, solicit your consent before making any kinds of overtures of that nature, so I should have asked first, I suppose.
I mean, it's fine. I'm going to go and change, and he grabs a beer. He's like, I'm going to take this for the walk back.
By the way, Commander, I never actually got to express the reason that I'd called you here in the first place.
Oh,
I did
right.
want to express my congratulations on the Legion of Honor.
Oh, that, yes. But, most honor or something.
Wow, he's really, really excited about this, Captain.
I'm far more excited over the prospect of 1,000 people and anybody who can be helped by this cure in the future living a full life. A shiny piece of tin in a sealed carrying case that I only put on special occasions matters to me about as much as, well, the captain not liking pineapple on pizza. That is to say, middling to low.
And at that, Lee would actually sort of brush by the pips on his chest and say, "You know, Natig, all those awards and all the pieces of metal and tin that we wear, those are just expressions of the achievements that we've actually realized. And opportunities for us to, well, continue to engage in them. As we rise in rank, as we gain the respect of our peers, we always have more opportunities to, well, as you put it, do the important work of saving lives.
Well, it's a very good way to look at it, Captain. I suppose maybe it's not accurate to say that I don't enjoy receiving praise. I like it quite a bit. And I oftentimes deserve it more than anybody else in a situation, any given situation. But ceremony and that sort of pomp and circumstance, well, to be fair, sir, it makes me a little uncomfortable, a little self-conscious, but that doesn't leave this room.
I wouldn't dream of sharing it with anyone. Also, is that cat tending the bar?
Spot, what are you doing here?
Holy crap, who let a freaking cat in here? Captain, is this your cat?
I think that it belongs to the doctor. Not this doctor. He's a commander.
Not this doctor.
The doctor in sickbay, yes.
And barkeep gets on the phone to sickbay at this point. And Spot just keeps walking down the bar, doing the cat thing of just knocking drinks, empty glasses over, being a general nuisance.
And, Dotig's actually going to leave at this point. And peanut butter hamburger in one hand, piece of fruit in the other. And head back to his quarters to change his uniform tunic.
5s to Captain Lee.
And Lee will tap his comm badge. Yes, Commander, Lee here. No, Captain Lee. This was
You're right,
an
Captain.
unusual lunch. I've had too much blood wine, that's all. It's synthahol, though. I'll walk it off. Go ahead, fellas.
I had compiled the report on Tomia 3, but if you need a minute...
No, I'll be on my way to the ready room, and you can present your report in 10 minutes. I'll take the long way around. Get that synthahol burned off.
Understood. 5s
Very
out.
good for 5s.
And Tivnet kind of looks at you, Captain, and says, I do have a faster cure for you, Captain, but I'm going to need your consent before I give it.
I'm going to need an adequate description of what that methodology would actually entail before I give my consent. Informed consent, obviously, is quite important to anything.
Well, it's fast, mostly painless, and is going to be over in less than a second.
Invasive or non-invasive?
Non-invasive.
Okay. You have my permission.
Pulls back her hand and gives you the mother of all slaps across the face. And you feel much more sober now.
Well, Commander, I appreciate that, and I did give my consent, but and Lee starts sort of trying to fix his teeth, seeing if they're all in place and intact. Now I think I need to go to sickbay, so that has actually extended the time frame of my...
Nah, you're fine. I got a dermal regenerator right here. Sorry, I didn't actually mean it for it to be that hard. Sorry.
No, it's quite all right.
She pulls out a dermal regenerator and starts to fix her problem. No, I mean, to be frank with you, Captain, the reason I suggested that is because the Fleet Admiral put me up to it. She said that apparently your wife doesn't put her foot down enough, and I needed to pick up the slack. I don't pretend to understand the Fleet Admiral. She's weird.
Honestly, I have no idea how to respond to that, and
Good, 'cause I
will
don't
have
either.
to send a very strongly worded letter to the Admiral, informing her that personal relationships of the officers under her command really are not under her purview. So,
Oh, no, see, that's the thing, is that apparently it was your wife that talked to the Fleet Admiral about, I don't know, it's a whole thing.
that really doesn't sound like my wife. I need to write her a letter too. Okay.
See, but now you feel a lot more awake and a lot more alert, don't you?
I feel a little bit paranoid actually now. Thank you.
Last thing before you run out, Captain, I did put a little something in the right armrest of your chair, just as you requested.
I hope I will never have to use that.
Well, I would hope. I mean, if you don't, I will.
Fair enough. Thank you, Commander. It's been an interesting exchange, and Lee will just sort of almost stumble to his feet and then try to, with some dignity, straighten his uniform and walk out.
And as funny as I like to make that scene, I think Tivna sort of looks past and goes, okay, maybe I shouldn't have followed the fleet admiral on that one. I feel like I had a good rapport going with the captain. I might have just ruined it. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. Hey, barkeep, you got any advice? Yeah, honey, I got some advice for you. Next time, don't slap the freaking captain. Not a good idea. Well, I mean, yeah, duh. Yeah, duh. That's why you don't do it. Now help me with this damn cat before... Damn it, it knocked over the Hesperate again. And as we cut away, we see Tivna and the barkeep dealing with Spot. But we're going to now go to the ready room, where at this point I would say that the captain has probably sobered up, and a certain Lieutenant Fives has joined him in the ready room.
Fives, you've compiled your report on the species that we're going to be dropping in on?
Yes, sir. I've already sent it to your pad, so you can follow along. There's not a whole lot. The last time the duck blind reported in was 2 years ago, and at that time they reported that the planet was at a technological equivalent of Earth circa the early 21st century. Nation states, a burgeoning space program. There is one tactical consideration we're going to need to address. They do have a spacefaring orbiter that is occasionally occupied. So we may want to either hide behind one of the moons to do our observations, or we can bounce a field off the shields and sort of scatter any sensors that are aimed our way.
And Lee would start reviewing the documentation that's been provided on his pad, scrolling through it. Given that they're at a rather vulnerable point in their development as a species, this adolescent period where they're just at the edge of achieving true spaceflight beyond their own planet, I'd like to be as certain as possible that we will avoid any possible interference with their natural development. Can both plans be implemented? We'll bring the Kongo in at an angle and, I guess, use the moon to cover any possible detection from their space station, while also potentially modifying the deflector arrays and the polarized hull plating to deflect any of their primitive sensor equipment.
Yeah, that should not be a problem. I can work with Tivna to set up the specifics.
Well, it's a very thorough job that you've done here, Lieutenant, but I don't know, it's a little bit abstract. Observations about technological development, weapons platforms, the space station itself. What about the culture, so far as you've been able to glean from reports? Do we know anything about the spirit of this people rather than just the substance?
Well, it looks like they may be a century or so out from a great conflict, akin to a war or perhaps another nation state occupying force. But overall, the Basant are a very nostalgic and sentimental people who place a great importance on history and learning from mistakes. They're also apparently very efficient innovators. But otherwise, sorry.
Not at all, Lieutenant. I apologize. Please continue.
Just the lack of information the last 2 years really doesn't give us a whole lot of information beyond that.
It's an interesting confluence of traits that they should be not exactly wedded to the past, but recognize its importance. Oftentimes, so far as I've seen, species that have joined the Federation look towards the future. We're enamored with every new technological innovation that we can encounter. It's nice to meet a people, or at least to be able to study a people, that recognize how the past has shaped us and try to explore it. It's reminiscent of my own people, really. That deep, abiding connection to the past that has made us who we are. and that we can never truly escape.
That's really well put, sir. I'm kind of just really in awe that we can have these duck blind missions and still maintain a semblance of the Prime Directive. It provides crucial data points for the development of civilizations that can be used for further study and to protect the integrity of other civilizations that meet these conditions.
I must admit, though, these missions have always left me with something of a foul taste in my mouth. As much as I understand their importance and recognize the tremendous boon that they offer us for our knowledge of species and their developments, and indeed information that can be vital when it comes time to perhaps enter into diplomatic negotiations with them when they've joined the interstellar community, nonetheless, it seems awfully intrusive. We are functionally engaged in acts of abhorrent espionage, gathering classified information about a species, observing them in their daily lives. If someone were to do that to any one of our species, on any one of our worlds, we would almost consider it an act of war.
Oh, I didn't expect to hit that emotional moment, Captain. But you're right. It is pretty invasive in that context. You know, having been one of the invaders in the past. But on the flip side, there's a lot worse that can happen to these people. And, as these planets are technically within Federation space, isn't it better for these people, for us to look out for them and protect them from external threats? I mean, if the Klingon Empire expanded out this far, the Romulans or a derelict Borg cube, would these people not be in a worse situation?
Or, God forbid, the Cardassians when they were in their expansionist phase.
Exactly.
And yet that does put us in that morally precarious position of intervening in their affairs. The Federation categorically refused to assist Bajor. Would we then be placed in the same position if some other empire set its sights on this world or one like it? And of course, there's the stresses that are placed upon the observers themselves when they see perhaps a civilization unraveling, giving in to its baser instincts. As parents, we always look towards our children and want them to have the best future possible. But I guess that's either leading us to paternalism or the tendency to interfere just a little bit too much.
I mean, I guess it's a good reason we have all those guidelines for duck blind missions and the limitations on how much we can really intervene in their affairs simply to observe them. And it almost makes me wonder if you're familiar with Hodgkin's law of parallel planetary development.
Enlighten me, Lieutenant.
It's a law that was proposed in the 21st century by an Earth scientist who said that given the number of habitable worlds in the cosmos, it almost certainly there would be another one like Earth. And indeed, during the missions of Captain Kirk, they found one such planet that had not only geophysically mimicked Earth's continental structure at the time, but even had life forms that were virtually indiscriminate from human DNA. I won't get too much into that, but I was just thinking, if Hodgkin was still alive, would he have some kind of quantum law of interplanetary development that would expand our understanding of, just if you observe it, just the act of observing changes the outcome? With enough missions like these kinds of duck blinds, could their very presence alter their future?
Interesting question that I'd never considered.
Yeah, that's why Dottig's the scientist.
Well, if you'll recall, I was a science officer myself. I've worn many hats, pretty much all of them that you can actually don on a starship, other than the one that you currently wear as chief of security.
That's why you're the captain.
I thought it was just because I was old.
No, I mean, you could be a Jellicoe, but you're not. You understand. You demonstrate an understanding of your crew's needs.
There's something to be said for the human touch in addition to efficiency. And speaking of that human touch, if we're referencing old scientists, and in my case, old doctors, even if we might find another world very similar to Earth on a path and progression that's akin to it, as did the Starship Enterprise, as its doctor observed, in all those millions of stars and all those untold billions of planets, there's always only one of each of us.
Yeah, but then we have alternate dimensions and, mirror universes. There could always be more of us.
And alternate timelines that split off from ours. So, yeah. That's
I'm
a really
really glad we
depressing
haven't
thought,
encountered
Fives. I'm glad that you sucked all of the joy and the grandeur and majesty out of that of Dr. McCoy's observations regarding the uniqueness of each individual.
Well, at least in this timeline, we're unique. Unless you're Commander Riker.
On that disturbing note, Lieutenant, do you have anything else to report? Or any other dreams and aspirational quotations that you wish to absolutely eviscerate and evacuate of any meaning that they once possessed?
Not anymore today, sir. I noticed that you carried in a Hasperat. You don't usually bring your food from the mess hall.
My lunch was interrupted with, rather painfully.
Ah. I don't need to ask any more details, sir.
I do. So if you'll excuse me, I need to compose a letter to my wife and to Fleet Admiral Ignitrix, because I think I've done something horribly wrong.
Yes, sir.
Very good, Lieutenant.
Fives will begin to step out.
So Five steps out, and actually it's funny you say that, Captain, because the moment you turn to your computer, there's 2 letters waiting for you. The first is in classic Vulcan fashion. There is a letter of apology from your wife about how she made a joke to Admiral Ignitrix, and Ignitrix took it too far, apparently. So, you've got a letter from your wife. It's actually quite heart-touching. She tries to explain what she meant, etc., etc. The other letter is from a formal letter from Commander Tivna saying that she submits herself for formal disciplinary action if you so see fit. So you've got that decision to make. But anyways, Fives, I believe you're headed where next?
Fives is in the process of exiting the captain's ready room and will probably head to his station.
He will get a chirp on his badge.
And standing in the middle of the captain's door as it's open. Fives.
Hi, this is Alel.
Oh, hey Doc, what's up?
What are you doing?
I just delivered a report to the captain and was about to head back to tactical.
Can you come to sickbay?
Yeah, is it time for a physical?
I just have something I want to show you. It'll have to be in person.
All right. Yeah, I'll be right there. And Fives will head to the nearest turbolift.
All right. We now go back to sickbay, of all places, and it's gotten a little bit more quiet in here. Obviously, with Dotig no longer here, and I guess Spot returned in one way or another. Fives, you step into an almost empty sickbay. Again, aside from Spot over in the corner on one of the biobeds and Nurse Delkov in the corner at his desk, the only other person in here is Dr. Alel.
Hey, Doc.
Hi. Is now a bad time?
Hey, you've got the device out. I didn't think we were going to do that. You were busy writing your report.
Yeah, but I don't sleep. So.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, let's do this.
Are you sure? I just want to make, because it's kind of like a, I don't really know exactly how it's going to work, but it should theoretically work. And
Hey, Doc, you asked me if we could do this, and that's a heck of a lot better than when Commander Dodig just hacked me to see if we could do this. So I'm okay with this.
I didn't even think that about that. This is really, so the purpose, I guess the reason why I wanted to propose this idea is because I think, well, I think we're friends. So I just thought that this would be cool. It would be like communication, but not through comm badge, but through our implants.
That. Hey, that means I can send you like little popcorn animations when we do movie night.
Yeah.
That'd be
And other
great.
stuff. And we could always like, if the captain was like, well, what's the purpose for this? We could be like, oh, well, it would be useful if we're on a mission and
Yeah, it would
we need
be
visual stuff.
not just visual, but it would be a virtually undetectable form of communication if our comm badges or communicators were otherwise stolen. And given the tech is cyberganic, we could always modify it if we're in a diffusion field or some other instance where standard comms are difficult.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay, great. I love it too. So come here and we'll get started.
Alrighty.
So she'll grab one of her medical tricorders and sit him down and be like, so it's working through the process and like the step-by-steps for this. And so your cortical implant was refitted, I believe, with Federation tech upon your disassimilation. Is that right?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, so that would be like the back door from which we can access and encrypt the frequency to my optical implant from me crashing the ship and everything. So
hero move, by the way. Like, I don't know if I've talked to you about that, but excellent.
I made a call and now I'm standing here, and that's really all I know.
Hey, we saved the whole planet. It's worth it.
Yeah, but I crashed our ship. Actually, technically Prin did, but I was in the chair, so
Fives looks around to make sure Prin's not like in the room. Oh, okay. I don't know why he sneaks up on me at a moment's notice. I don't understand it.
I know he tends to do that. Okay, so
Fives,
I'm just gonna.
You feel something tapping at your back.
Fives ignores it.
The tapping gets more frequent.
Fives turns around.
Spot is on the floor, just looking up at you.
How are you tap? I don't want to know. You could. So the cat just lives in sickbay now, huh, Doc?
Where do cats usually live? You're a human.
I have never had a cat. That's a really good question. Okay, rescinded.
After all, I sort of live here, so.
Fives will kneel to engage the cat with pats.
Well, I will like tap on her medical tricorder and like sort of like fine tune it. Okay, I think we're ready to make the link. So it might take about 10 to 15 seconds, and you might see some weird things, but it should sync up.
All right. I'm allowing access to the device. So, okay. Yep, there it is. All right.
And narratively, at this point, what I want to say is when you engage the link, it's a very interesting phenomenon. For one moment, both of you are seeing through each other's eyes, or eye or implant in this instance. And it's almost a vertigo-inducing sensation where you're in literally two places at once and experiencing an out-of-body phenomenon. So, Alel, you see yourself, Spot, and Five's POV, and vice versa for Fives. You see Spot, Dr. Allel, etc., etc. But then the link is going to automatically disengage.
Huh.
Whoa.
I'm going to send a log that maybe we can go over to see what failed there.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah.
I might have to make some tweaks here. I wonder if we're linked, but it's just not transmitting for some reason.
There might be an issue with the organosynthetic transmission across our independent brainwaves. You're denobulin. I'm human augment.
Mm-hmm.
We might want to recalibrate our neurotransmitters, or even give each other a dose of isoboramine.
Maybe. I wonder if I could like fine tune the frequency from my end to be human brainwaves are so much more, and not to use simple, but like easy to work with. You guys have very clear patterns.
Look, I was Borg. I understand there's a ton of species out there that have more advanced brains than we do, but you can just say it. It's cool.
Well, I'm just saying a lot of Federation tech is like designed to work for humans, so maybe I can make some tweaks.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. That's still really bizarre. I thought I was taller than that.
How tall are you again? You're almost 6 feet.
Just shy of 2 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see what I saw?
I saw what you saw. Did you see what I saw?
I saw what I think you saw, but I didn't see what you saw from what I saw.
Hello, she'll lean down and pick up Spot.
We both saw Spot.
What did you see, Spot, huh? Well, I'm sorry it didn't seem to work. I'll make some tweaks, and if you see anything weird, just badge me.
Yeah, I will leave access to my cortical node open to your medical channels on the ship. So, just send me a text to let me know if you're going to do anything, and I'll turn it off if I have to go into a tactical situation.
Okay.
Anything else, Doc?
Did you happen to see Dateg at all? I asked him to bring me a Hasbrat. I'm hungry.
No, I didn't see the doctor, and Fives will become aware that he's been holding a wrapped package in his hand. It seems I stole the captain's lunch. He ordered a Hasbrat. And he'll hand it out. I'm sure the captain will just order another one from his personal replicator.
Huh. And she'll unwrap it and see if it's like her order.
It's exactly your order, because it is your order.
Okay. This looks like it's mine.
Did the captain steal your lunch?
I mean, I have my lunch here. How did that happen?
This is the weirdest thing. What are the odds?
Maybe tomorrow. Anyway, she takes a huge bite of it.
All right, Doc. Well, yeah, let me know what you find. I will be on the bridge.
Okay. Bye.
We're now going to do a small time skip here, and we're going to go to the bridge where maybe about somewhere between 3 to 5 hours later, you've arrived in system. And as everybody is at their stations, everybody in the senior staff, meaning Fives, you're on the bridge, Allel, you're on the bridge, Dateg, etc., etc., etc. As you all enter into the system, immediately what happens is Fives and Dateg, you're going to notice that something drastically has changed about the planet in question. Now, as Fives alluded to earlier, the Besant's homeworld was in real life Earth level, as in they were still pre-warp, they only had basic space travel, etc., etc. Now, you're detecting they have the beginnings of a star dock being constructed. And to add icing to the cake, you're also noticing that there's the beginning of an NX era ship in that star dock in construction. So it's kind of a constructing to construct, if you get what I'm trying to say here. So you're both noticing that on the sensors.
Now,
Fives.
I just want to ask for a clarification. I'm sorry.
Sure.
No, go.
When you say an NX era ship, you don't necessarily mean mimicking Starfleet NX style, but warp things and
That level
early
of technology.
That level of
interstellar.
technology, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Fives, can you confirm what I'm seeing?
Yes, sir. These readings are extraordinary, to say the least. It looks like
you should see this.
And at that, Lee is actually going to rise from his chair and join Datig at the science station to examine the readouts. Fives, can you get more precise sensor scans of that space dock that's being constructed? Is this actually representative of native technology, or is this another power that has perhaps annexed this world and begun constructing orbital facilities?
I will compare the energy emissions from the space station with what we knew of their computer technology, as well as see if I can get an analysis on atmospheric particulate to see if their industrial phase has moved into a energy sort of post-scarcity or clean energy phase.
ELH, I don't quite remember. Oh, actually, hang on. I've got access to the old.
What are you looking for in particular? Maybe I can help.
Yeah. Okay. So a while back, we actually ran into a race whose modus operandi was just to find habitable worlds and just uplift them to warp levels of technology. So Datig is curious as if they or another race, perhaps with that mandate or mindset, is at work here.
Interesting.
So I would like to, with the captain's permission, perform a scan of the system for any life signs on the planet or in orbit that are not Besant.
Interesting. So I think you and Fives are kind of on a parallel track here. You're basically scanning for the same thing, just from different angles. Okay. So let's say you're assisting one another, and I'm going to let you decide who takes the lead here. For Datig, it would be a reason science. For Fives, it would be a reason security. And depending on who's doing the lead, the ship will respond in kind, meaning that the ship will either be rolling a sensors in science or a sensors in security. Now, the difficulty on this will be high because you're trying not to be detected here. So it was a difficulty of 4. You have advanced sensor suites. It comes down to a difficulty of 3. However, there is still a complication range of 18 to 20 because, again, they could detect you.
Okay.
I will defer to the commander.
Okay. All right. I'll do it. GM, does my focus in xenobiology come
would
into play
actually
here?
apply here? Yes.
Okay. Then I would also like to tap a value to spend my determination on this roll.
Okay. What value?
It's going to be a duty to the truth.
I like it.
Or I suppose we could also do, first do no harm, and that he's trying to avoid detection and upsetting the sort of natural course of this culture's
either would work.
Advancement. All right. So you said that's reason science?
Yep, and if someone could get sensors science for the ship, and then 5s, you're still doing 1 dice reason security.
And I do not get the benefit of a focus for that assist, do I?
Unless, do you have a focus that applies?
I always default to observation.
I'll give you observation.
Cool.
You're sitting at 4 successes right now, so you're getting back 1 momentum. Let's see if 5s get you anything more. There you go. Hey, that's 5 successes, so you actually get 2 momentum back. So, good news, bad news. Which do you want first?
Give me the bad news first. I like that first. Softens it when we get the good news second.
Okay. So, bad news. You are not detecting anything like the Zavok, and that is what the species kind of as a callback was. It was the Zavok that were going around uplifting people, so it's not them. However, the good news is it's very obvious that this is not an invading force, and it's not a, shall we say, a slave labor situation, but as Five suspected, their development has been extremely fast forwarded. And the reason for it, best you can tell, is that above the main city of the planet, there is a massive sphere, dark in color, with ornate metallic designs that dance across its surface in esoteric patterns.
Cool.
And all you can tell from this distance without risking detection is that there are a hell of a lot of cables coming off of this thing and is both providing and stealing power from the environment. Maybe stealing is not the right word, but you get what I mean.
Captain, permission to run a sensor signature analysis against all known Borg variants.
Permission granted.
So Fives will compare the energy signatures to what we know.
Good news. It's not Borg. Bad news. You don't know what it is.
No matches, sir.
It's actually a great relief. Thank you, Fives. Helm, take us to the edge of the system until we can actually ascertain what's going on here. Keep us at low power mode. I'd like to try to avoid detection. And he would turn to the rest of the crew. Thoughts, observations, suppositions.
So the imagery I'm looking at has the sphere with a huge cavern
underneath of it. Mm-hmm.
Can we take a larger reading of that area into like the core of the planet?
I'll tell you what, since Dotig was technically the one that did the initial sensor scan, if you want that to be Dotig's free question, I can give that to you for free.
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. So you're actually very close on the money there, Dr. Alel. This isn't going to go all the way to the planet's core, but it is some form of geothermal power here. aka it's using the heat of the planet's core, the heat of the planet's surface to basically generate power.
And the cables clearly are like distributing and also taking power. Like, is that
is correct, yes. To use an analogy, it's almost like, actually it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before the stream. It's one of those situations where the sphere, whatever the hell it is regulating the power flow, so whenever it has excess, it's feeding that excess back to the grid.
Okay. Commander Dotig, I'm picking up some odd signals from the core of the planet, transferring them to your console.
Captain, this is extraordinary. Nothing short of extraordinary. This entity, machine, whatever it is managed to tap the geothermal power reserves of the planet and has created a sort of ad hoc energy grid that sustains itself as well as the surrounding city.
So it's the locus, in all likelihood, for the majority of the power generation that's actually allowing this civilization to function at the level of technology they've managed to achieve.
Certainly would appear to be the case.
Are you getting any readings of potential conflicts that have erupted on the planet, not necessarily from the invasive entity or vessel, but perhaps as a result of its appearance? We know that they were in a precarious position sociologically between their nation states, perhaps the arrival of this visitor has exacerbated existing tensions.
GM, is there any indication of that?
I would say you can either give me a momentum to ask that question, or we can have Fives do an insight security to provide his expert opinion.
Let's get Fives' expert opinion.
All right, Mr. Fives, if you can roll me an insight security, difficulty of 1, and I'm not going to let you use observation here, but I will let you use anything related to nuke technology, anything related to old-timey warheads, at least as far as you're concerned. You know, standard old world tech, etc. And you did just get a momentum from chat as well.
I was
Thanks,
totally
Chad.
going to do sociocultural psychology, but energy weapons is the closest.
Yeah,
Fives
unfortunately,
might have towards
they were
that.
not at energy weapons yet. So
Sure. So could I get a momentum for a third die?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm going to
Chat just
save
gave us
that
one, so-
complication for something coming up, and it'll probably be the break thing when that complication comes up.
Woohoo! All right, 3d20 with no focus because Fives didn't expect to encounter a primitive culture.
Hey, that's very
Wow,
successful.
really
That's 4
good.
successes. So by my count, you actually have, what is that, 1 floating? Yeah, you have 1 floating momentum. So
Okay.
Fives, what you're going to notice is that before, again, using in real life Earth as an analog, they had nukes. They were pointing them at each other, and it was kind of like a Cold War scenario. Every single nuke on the planet is gone. Every single nuke. Now, there's still nuclear reactors, but the nukes, gone.
Captain, let me double check these figures. This is astonishing if it's true. And Fives will take 2 seconds and then I don't know how to explain this, Captain. It appears that based on the readings and the reports from 2 years ago, this world is completely disarmed of nuclear weapons. There are no residual nucleogenic fields, no radiation fields indicative of any kind of recent nuclear activity. It's just gone.
No, Five, as you mentioned that theory of analogous development between civilizations, we might be looking at what could have happened on Earth if the Vulcans had arrived prior to World War III. After they appeared to Zephyr and Cochrane, humanity banded together. They began to disarm their remaining nuclear arsenals, perhaps recognizing that they weren't alone in the cosmos. These people did the same, without a Holocaust.
That definitely brings into question, sir. We still haven't heard from the duck blind mission.
Well, that's the funny thing, because that's where the complication's going to come in, and Cenobitus is going to say, sorry to interject, sirs, but I am actually getting a weak signal coming from the duck blind. It appears to be a repeating message, audio only, apparently.
On speakers.
And over the speakers, you hear, I'm not going to turn on my voice modulator, but if you can just imagine the static cutting in and out every so often. And the voice says, this is Lieutenant Commander Jofun of the Duck Line on, and it cuts out for a moment. We are hoping this signal is reaching any Federation vessel. We need immediate assistance. Our power is running out. Our holographic display cuts out again. Estimated time to exposure, 3 hours. And Obidus basically adds as the message begins to repeat, sir, the message is about an hour and a half old.
I see. Commander Datig, given the technological sophistication of this race, is there a way that we could beam down or send a shuttlecraft properly cloaked or concealed from their sensors? Is there some way that we can actually assist the duck-blind mission without being detected?
Well, if they're at a technology level consistent with pre-Federation Earth, then they're going to be running something similar to duonetic sensors that will reset frequencies approximately every 5.6 minutes. Shuttlecraft emitting a subspace scattering field flying through in that window should remain undetected.
Thank you, Commander. Dr. Alel, Fives, any other observations?
We do have preliminary reports of their fashion as of 2 years ago, if we wish to interact, sir. Might be best to look like them, even if somebody does think we're nosing around the duck blind.
Can we get any more precise sensor scans, perhaps of the planet, or perhaps signals that are being transmitted from it, entertainment or media, that we could glean a more contemporary understanding of current trends? If their technology and their society has advanced so far in only 2 years, who knows what might have transpired regarding their fashion sense?
I will set sensors to scan for all bands, for all societies of mid-Earth, mid-21st century to mid-22nd century. And see if we can pick up any entertainment or news broadcasts.
And then there's kind of a chirp over the comm. This is Commander Tivna to the bridge. Assuming you still want me as your chief engineer, Captain, we've been monitoring the situation down here, and seems like we're going to have to get in very quickly before that duck blind becomes no longer a blind and is exposed. I do like the shuttle idea that Dotig proposed. However, I'm a little bit concerned that there's not really a good way to, well, obscure the shuttle. We don't know what that thing, whatever that sphere is, we don't know what sensor capabilities it might have. It would be risky, but I think a beam would be probably our best chance here.
Given the duck blind's shielding, would we be able to beam directly into the facility?
Well, that's the beauty of the duck blind technology, is it's actually the prototype on which the polarized hull plating upgrade was based upon. So, given they haven't changed the frequency of their holographic shielding, we should be able to beam in and out just like we can beam in and out of our polarized hull plating.
Very good. Make the necessary modifications to the transporter to attempt to conceal them from whatever sensors this entity or visitor might possess. Dr. Datig will be taking an away team down to the surface to try to restore power and attend to any potential injuries among the crew.
Aye, sir. We'll have some engineering staff meet him in the transporter room.
Thank you, Commander.
And with that, I think we're going to that's where we'll take our 5 to 10 minute break. So yeah, we'll be back shortly. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of session 3 of season 3 of Star Trek Kongo. If you're just joining us, well, long story short, there was a lot of cool role-playing, a lot of character growth, maybe some character regression on the account of a few NPCs. Case in point, it was then followed by the discovery that a previously pre-warp civilization had jumped forward many, many years in terms of technology, and all of it seemingly because of an alien sphere, not Borg, but still an alien sphere that had emerged over the main city of the planet. And if that wasn't bad enough, the Federation duck blind that was on the planet observing the anthropological societal development, apparently its power is going out and an away team is needed to be sent. Now, Commander Datig, you are leading the away team, so between you and Tivna, who do you want to bring on this away mission? And for the record, you will be beaming in. You will not be bringing a shuttle.
Okay. So if that's the case, then Dottie would want Dr. Lel for obvious reasons,
Okay.
and Lieutenant Fives,
Okay.
and we'll also take Ensign Prin.
Ensign Prin. Where is he? There he is. All right. So, after a moment in the transporter room, you all dematerialize and rematerialize in the duct blind. Now, unlike a certain TNG episode where the duct blind is, sparking and, the holographic emitters aren't working, the duct blind itself is in low power mode, so you can still see that the holographic emitters out of the front of the duct blind, which affords you a view of the main city from one of the nearby mountains. You can tell that's still active. However, as you sort of look around at the lighting, at the panels, at the terminals, everything's in low power mode. And in fact, there's only one individual here at the moment, and it is a Vulcan with a interesting goatee and a soul patch. Why he has a soul patch and he's a Vulcan, I leave to your imagination. But as you beam in, he kind of turns around and you see he's got the pips of Lieutenant Commander. And he says, greetings. My name is Lieutenant Commander Joe Fun. I can only assume you are here about the distress message we sent out.
Yes, Commander. I'm Commander Datig of the Starship Kongo. This is Dr. Alel, Chief Medical Officer, Commander Tivna, Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Fives, Tactical, and Ensign Prin.
Sociological studies, actually. So if you wouldn't mind directing me here to your database and the observations you've made, I probably shouldn't speak out of turn. Sorry, Commander.
Very good. Oh, my lord, he's becoming
learning.
self-aware.
Yeah, Tivna leans in. He's learning.
Commander, can you enlighten us as to just what's happening on this planet? First, maybe, what's causing this sudden power drain?
Ironically enough, the reason you're probably here in the first place, that sphere is, it's both good and bad. But to answer probably a few questions at once, most of my staff is currently in the engineering room, literally using exercise machines to keep the power on. We more or less experienced a power drain because we are technically connected to the power grid of the planet. So we're sort of being inadvertently drained by the sphere because it doesn't judge us as, well, necessary, if that makes any sense. So we've done our best to, once again, isolate ourselves as we were initially, but long story short, when the sphere showed up and it started to take over the power grid, we were curious as to what that would mean and the intelligence it displayed, and we made a not a great call, if you get my meaning.
No, I don't believe I do.
Then I will explain further. We thought there was anthropological value in studying the entity firsthand. So we gave it access to our power grid. And no sooner did we do that than it took it over and began to regulate it like every other power grid on the planet.
Is there a way to disconnect it?
Yes, we physically cut the cables, but again, the only reason we have any lighting whatsoever is because...
Right, exercise bikes, yes. Well, Commander Tivna.
I heard him. Yep, I'm on my way, don't worry. Which way is it? This door, that door? That door over there. You got it. Doctor, give me like 20 minutes. I'll have this place up and running, no problem.
Right. Commander, any injuries or physical ailments we should see to while we're here? Exhaustion, maybe?
Exhaustion, maybe. They've been going at it for about, he kind of looks at a chronometer, maybe about an hour. Most of them are pretty physically fit, but I can't imagine it's not the most taxing thing in the world.
Well,
Go check on them, sir.
And if I may, forgive me for speaking out of turn, but Mr. Fives, you are an impeccable physical specimen in many ways. I'm certain that you would be able to lend your assistance.
Of course.
Mr. Fives, yes, if you'd be so kind. then by all
Yes,
means,
sir.
if you believe that would be a better use of your talents than securing this site against physical threats, by all means, at
Uh,
your discretion.
give me 10 minutes to make sure the base is secure and that there are no gaps in our security, and I'd be happy to assist with power generation.
Very good. Then you'll relieve Mr. Prin in 15 minutes.
Yes,
Prin,
sir.
you have work. Snap to it.
I think I would be far more valuable to you if I was to, examine the databases and give us insight into the
Ensign,
operation.
get your ass over here. You're getting on an exercise bike.
Could we not?
Well,
take
Cardassian physiological superiority proves its worth yet again.
See, that's not hard, is it?
And Prin will depart.
Yeah, so as Tivna goes off with Prin, Alel, before, and of course we're going to bounce back and forth, but is there anything you want to do, Alel, before you exit off screen for the moment?
She would, and forgive me, someone already suggested this. Commander, what we have power cells in our devices. Can't we somehow use them to help with the deficiencies?
In all likelihood, that tracks. Check in with Commander Tivna on your way, and see if she would find that beneficial. If so, by all means, if you can handle a little frontier medicine.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I think I know exactly who I'm talking to.
It's mutual then. I'll
Quite.
be off. So she'll leave after that to go check on the exercising and
As Prin is falling out, he's going to turn to her and say, was that... do you have some kind of romantic relationship with Datig? You just said it was mutual. Was that... And I think the door closes behind them.
Leaving Datig Fives and Lieutenant Commander Jofun currently in the main part of the duck blind.
Commander Jofun, can you point us to your main databank? Fives, I'd like you to do an analysis of any information that I got from the sphere before, I suppose, a risk assessment of a reintegration with the duck blind once we power it back up.
Aye, sir.
Well, I suppose I could also just give you the short version that might spare the good lieutenant here a few moments of his time. Basically, this sphere showed up more or less about year and a half ago. And when it did, there was a whole hoopla on the planet about an alien invader and, the end times, standard sort of developing society doesn't know that they're not the only ones in the universe, etc., etc., etc. So after a while of trying to figure out what to do, they decided to do something interesting. They attempted to gain access to the sphere. And lo and behold, they did get access. And what they discovered, and what we've been able to figure out, is that the sphere is actually a form of artificial intelligence. Now, we're not talking Borg, and he looks very pointedly at Lieutenant Fives when he says that. They're not Borg. They're not Borg analogs. They're not Borg adjacent. But it is very much an AI that is running the show there.
Well, artificial intelligence would imply that it's sapient or at least sentient.
Oh, it's definitely both, because... And he hesitates at this. I don't know how to put this, but... Do you have any psychological background in your study, Lieutenant Commander? Or, sorry, Commander?
Well, no, I'm a physical doctor, not a
Not
psychologist.
the mental
I have a background in sociocultural psychology.
Ah. Well then, Lieutenant, what would I tell you? What would you say if I told you that when they gained access to the sphere, the artificial intelligence, with its vast array of advanced technology and ways it could subjugate the planet, what if I told you that AI, instead of doing all those things that Earth media is so very fond of, that the AI made a deal with those of the planet?
You're saying that the AI is benevolent and is actually facilitating the advancement of these people?
Yes, but with a catch. And Jofun noticeably grimaces at this. The catch is that in exchange for giving the Basant the advanced technology and the means to advance their society, it's requiring a, shall we say, a form of blood tax.
A sacrifice?
Nothing so grotesque, but in a sense, yes.
Fives will grip his phaser rifle a bit more strongly.
Can you be more specific? A blood tax in what specific way, Commander?
Well, based on the reports of those I've sent into the field, our understanding is that the government came to the conclusion that they needed to have both a presence on the sphere and they also wanted to keep the sphere happy. Maybe I should have said something first. It's been a long few days. I apologize. The sphere, the AI, which we still haven't found out the name of, or it hasn't given one that we've picked up on, the AI used to run similar to the Borg, where they needed wetware to maintain their functionality. So its requirement, its blood tax, is that it needs, well, people, or in this case, Basant. Now, as I was saying, the world governments came together and decided that they would send their prisoners, their ne'er-do-wells, their mental patients, all the, I guess you would call them scum of society, the irredeemable. And that is the issue we face.
So you're telling me now that this sphere has been given slaves?
No, nothing quite as bad as that, but I suppose in this case bad is relative. Those that go to the sphere are used up like batteries.
Okay, so it's worse than slavery, because at least physical agency was a thing.
But why? The sphere has tapped into the planet's geothermal core. It's regulating power flow across a large area very easily, seemingly, and drawing more than enough power to keep itself active. What specifically do the biological components offer it?
To put it in simple terms, the power isn't the problem, as far as we can tell anyway. The problem is that the processing capability of the AI is directly tied to how many brains it has connected to it.
Commander, are you telling me that these are humanoid isolinear chips?
That is actually an apt metaphor, yes.
That is distressing.
I've been one of those before.
So you said that this sphere is connected to the power grid of this duck blind,
It was.
but not currently.
Well, Tivna's making some special changes at the moment, but unless you stop her, it's going to be isolated within a few minutes.
So is there anything stopping it from being able to listen to our conversation?
And I think Tivna, kind of off screen, I imagine you're all hearing this because you keep an open comm. I think Tivna says, no, I think we're good on that front. They were smart enough not to hook up their computers to the thing, just their power grid, which was still a monumentally stupid thing to do, but I'll fix it.
Thank you, Tipna.
You're welcome. Also tell the captain I said sorry.
What did you do?
You don't want to know. It's not important.
Okay, but you should just tell him sorry yourself.
Tivna doesn't reply.
So, GM.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, Watney. Go ahead.
I was gonna say something in character, so you go ahead.
Okay. GM, is there a way for us to sort of transmit this data, so what we've been told, to the Congo to keep the captain and the rest of the crew up to speed?
If you want to have that happen, yeah, that can happen.
Yeah. So Datig's just going to... I assume, are we in communication range?
You are.
Okay. Yeah, Datig's going to just hit his comm badge and... away team to Congo.
This is Lee. Go ahead.
Captain, stand by to receive a data dump from the duck blind's computer. I'm sure you'll be as horrified as I am at what's been going on this planet.
And Lee would take a moment to parse through the data and ensure that it is being uploaded while monitoring sensor readings to see if there's been any change in communications on the planet or activity from the sphere that would indicate that the communication of so much data has been detected in some way.
Tell you what, if you give me 2 momentum, we'll say that you're in the clear. And the advantage will be that until I have a complication that says otherwise, you remain in the clear.
All right. And with disdain dripping almost palpably from his voice, you can, Lee responds, "This is abjectly abhorrent, Commander."
Agreed, sir.
Do we actually have any recourse here, though?
Unfortunately, Captain, I don't believe so. The Prime Directive is clear.
Mr. Fives, I believe that you wanted to add your opinion, and I imagine it must be a unique one, considering what's transpiring here and your own history.
I mean, my first reaction is extract it from this planet and help these people adapt to whatever technologies remain on their own terms. But that would be gross violation of the Prime Directive. And in an effort to employ a more Federation sensibility, we could try hailing it.
A diplomatic solution, perhaps involving our own bioneural gel packs as some kind of substitute for the wetware that it requires to function, might be something that we could achieve.
And if we could do that silently, so to speak, without the inhabitants being aware, then they would simply no longer have to make these sacrifices.
I'm sorry to cut in, Captain, but it raises another interesting conundrum. If we fulfill this creature's needs, this entity, this artificial intelligence, it may abandon these people, and then we must ask ourselves, would they be in an objectively better position?
It's precisely that kind of situation that the Prime Directive is intended to avoid, to alleviate us of the burden of making those kinds of what-if decisions.
We could also just pack up the duck blind, leave, and put a quarantine buoy in the system.
We could also speak with the Besant themselves. The Prime Directive, at least in that regard, no longer applies. They are, however unnaturally, warp-capable and well aware that life forms beyond their planet exist.
That is, of course, your discretion, Captain.
if we were to offer our assistance to them, there is the potential outcome of this sphere retaliating in some way, feeling no longer needed. It does seem to be in a most symbiotic sort of relationship.
Symbiosis, Doctor, as you well know, does not harm either of the participants. In this case, well, I don't know the exact condition of the individuals who have been sacrificed to this machine, but I would imagine that they would consider themselves to have been harmed.
Perhaps, or perhaps it was informed consent.
And Lee will then tap his comm badge and contact Tibna. Commander Tibna, what's your progress on the duck blind?
It's already isolated and should be running in now, actually. And across the duck blind, lights flicker on, terminals flicker to life, everything's operational. And we see Prin just continuing to pedal as everybody else gets off the bike because Timna's saying, nope, still got another 5 minutes, Ensign, keep going.
I believe that this is a gross abuse of your power, Commander, and I will be lodging a formal
Oh, it's
complaint.
not abuse of my power. Commander Dotig said 15 minutes. I'm just that good. You've got another 5.
I see. You know, given your precarious position with the captain, I think that you would do well not to continue to abuse your power, as I am going to continue to insist that you are, but never let it be said that a Cardassian constitution is not up to the task.
Mr. Pran, I'd like you to roll me a fitness security difficulty of 3.
Okay, let's do this.
Never tempt the GM with a good time.
I'm going to tap his value, driven to demonstrate his superiority, because the Cardassian Constitution, particularly in situations such as these, is demonstrably superior to that of Bajorans or Denobulans, or even human augments.
Okay.
Hey,
let's
I
get some
resemble that
complications
remark.
here. And
Aim before
2d20.
5 complications. I mean, I okay, all right. You get 4 successes, which means you get a momentum back. Yeah, Prin, you're fine. You carry on.
In that case, I think Lee is going to combat the Datig. Commander, do you believe that you have any other affairs to which you must attend on the planet, or are you prepared to return?
Well, I'm going to give a little time to assess the condition of the crew, just to make sure that nobody's in any actual danger from exhaustion or ill effect from excessive exertion. But apart from that, with our securing of the data dump from their core memory, no additional business.
I would like you, Dr. Allel, and Fives, on your return to the Congo, to begin analyzing the database alongside Mr. Prin, given his cultural studies background. See if we can glean anything about the civilization that might be advantageous to us when we begin potentially negotiating with them to end this horror.
Very good. We'll see to it.
Very good. Congo out.
And I think at that, Dati will go and check on Alel.
So, Alel,
And in passing, Prin, he'll just, oh yes, Ensign, you can stop now.
Oh, well, I can keep going, you know. I'm perfectly fine for another 10 miles.
You know, Commander, if he does 3 more minutes on that thing, he'll break the ship record for distance, and I can add him to one of my tactical test teams.
Extracurriculars for Pren.
Very good. A chance for you to show your superior Cardassian physiology one more time.
I'm also an expert marksman, you know, Commander.
I remember the day.
It's nice to be recognized, Lieutenant.
And I think we'll look over at Alel and see. How are they?
GM?
they're fine. I mean, they've been heavily exercising for longer than they should have, but give them water, food, a little bit of rest. They'll be fine.
A little bit of exhaustion, sir, but other than that, they should be fine. They just need some rest and hydration.
Excellent. Well, the captain's asked us to return to the ship if we have no further business here. Bryn,
Cannot
Fives,
wait.
yourself, and I are tasked with reviewing the data from the duck blind and determining a course of action for potential negotiations with the planetary government.
Oh, that's going to be tremendously exciting. I can't wait to see how this culture has adapted sociologically, religiously, to the discovery of alien life arriving on its own planet. This is going to be tremendously exciting.
If we find out that they are sacrificing themselves willingly, then I don't think we can play a part in this.
As much as I hate that notion, I'm in agreement.
ELH,
Yes.
would it be possible to have set the security relief to monitor media channels for news relating to public opinion regarding the new situation?
Yeah. I mean, I think as senior staff, you have that ability to pass it off and delegate. So, yeah, they can have done that at this point.
Cool.
Now, as you all do beam back to the ship, I do have to ask. At this point, we're looking at maybe about 30 minutes to 45 minutes more or less. So if you guys don't mind going for another 45 minutes, we can make this a single episode. But if somebody has to go or somebody has to bail, we can just make it a two-parter.
I normally would. I have got a very early meeting tomorrow.
Then let's do that then. That'll give me some time to prepare some handouts and things of that nature, which means I'll just go ahead and
love
refund those
handouts.
points.
I appreciate the delay because it means GM, who just redeemed evil Q powers, has to wait a week.
Yup. Yup. All right, well, that is where we're going to end part 1 of our little session here. Same time, same place next week. But Twitch, stick around. But YouTube, see you later.